Hello there, and welcome to another Space Engineers tutorial video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the changes introduced during the release of Space Engineers, and that is mainly on the survival element of Space Engineers. If you're interested in some more general points or the creative building, then please see the other videos. So let's get started straight away here. We're going to go to the new game screen, and here we're greeted with two new scenarios and one older scenario here. So the first jump was the kind of campaign. It's more story driven, and it does still teach you the game, but it doesn't play as typical Space Engineers would play. The two new scenarios we have here are Learning to Survive and Never Surrender. So the first of which will actually teach you a lot of the things which I will teach you anyway. And the second one is a wave-based defense scenario where you basically fight off hordes of drones, and you can play with as many people as you like, and you can defend however you like as well. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to show you, because you can play this yourself, so I'm going to go to a custom game and then create a star system survival, because this will be the kind of survival you'll get when you join a dedicated server. So this is all, I think this is all fine. Yeah, we'll just leave everything as it is and get stuck in. So once that's loaded up, you're greeted with a spawn screen. And in a dedicated server, normally you'd be greeted with the faction selection first, which allows you to join your friend's faction and actually spawn closer to your friends or teammates. But as we're playing on our own, we'll just select no faction and join that. And then we have the choices of spawn. Now we have the Earth-like, the Moon, the Alien, the Titan, Mars, Europa, drop pods, and then we also have a spaceship, which is a slightly different start. This will be starting near asteroids, and you'll be kind of focused on traveling between asteroids and finding the resources you need. But for the purpose again of this tutorial, I'm going to show you the most standard survival start, which is the Earth-like drop pod. And you can kind of see as well from these other ones how the difficulty varies as well, based off if there's any oxygen and the planet gravity and so on. So let's select this and we'll hit the respawn button. Okay, so now we're falling in our drop pod towards the planet's surface. This is a small grid drop pod with the essentials that we need to get started here. And eventually the parachute will open up. I hope. There we go. And the landing gear on the bottom should automatically lock to the surface once we hit it. There we are, or at least the back one locked there, so that's just fine. So we can hop out with hitting the F key. And now this is going to be where we're building for now, I guess. Of course, if you were playing with friends, you would spawn closer to them, and then you could potentially grind up your ship and then move the resources over to that and have a central building spot. But as we're playing on our own, I'm going to show you how you would play solo, right? So I'm going to press tab and equip my drill, because the first thing we're going to need to do is actually mine stone. Now, at the back of this drop pod, we have this access point. And this is actually the survival kit. And it's got functions to heal you, it's got functions to refine stone, and it's got functions to assemble some very basic components. So, straight away, I'm just going to go just any spot and start drilling with the left mouse button. And I can also hold F to pick up these chunks of stone, right? Now, one small tip is actually that you get better amounts of ore if you dig below the kind of initial dirt layer and get down to the stone. Because what the survival kit does, for gameplay reasons, it takes trace elements of ore from the stone pretty much. So you could say that the dirt isn't particularly rich in ore. So we've got to go deeper to get to that richer stuff. So I'm going to just dig a little bit more here. turn our light as well with L. Okay, so we've got some stone here, got a nice little tunnel going on. And we'll come to the back of this, hit F, and we'll drag the stone that we just mined into the survival kit. So now, once that's done, we want to go to the production tab, and we can see that we can make a bag of ingots, and a bag of ingots requires 500 stone, and we have 2,500 available. So we can actually make 5 bags here. So what we'll do is we can queue these up by just clicking, left clicking, but also we can, by holding Control or Shift, we can add like 10 or 100 into the production queue here. And because the only thing that we can build, refine in the survival kit is this, I suggest personally just filling this up with as many bags as possible. So then whenever you just put stone into the inventory, it would automatically convert this stone into the ingots here. And we can see that it's actually refined the stone into these essential things. We have gravel, iron, nickel, and silicon. But I know we're going to need a lot more stone to get us started here, so I'm going to go back and do some more mining. You can also see us getting here down to the stone, I believe now. My light on? Yeah, still on. I think so. This is still dirt. See the texture change when you get to the stone layer. And also you can use right mouse button to mine quicker, but it won't produce any ore. So for getting down to the stone, actually using right click can be a lot better. So there you go. So you can kind of see we've gone from the dirt, and now we're looking at this grey stone texture. So now if we come down here and we can start mining this, we'll actually get we'll get stone a lot quicker, pretty much, from each second that we mine it. So my inventory's full now, so we're full of stone. So we'll leave our little tunnel. We're going to activate the jetpack with X, because actually I made it a little bit too steep to actually walk out of. Something worth considering there. And we're going to drag this 3K in. And because we've already got those bags queued up, it's just going to keep producing these ingots here. Now, once we have enough stone, we can actually have a look at what we can make with these ingots that it's produced. So we can make some more tools if we happen to lose them, or we can actually create these essential ingots here. We have computers, construction components, displays, girders, interior plates, motors, solar cells, and steel plates. So we want to get a little base set up, right? We want to actually make, get off this small ship and actually get some kind of large grid base created. So I'm going to hit 4 on my toolbar, and that will actually activate the light armor block. So you can see for this, we need 25 steel plates in total. But to place it, we only need 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to the survival kit, and we're going to hit the steel plate key. Now, because it can't produce these, there's no stone, it's going to go to the next one in the queue, which is the steel plate. So you see there, we've created that, and in fact, I'm going to make a couple more here. We're going to need plenty of these. Let's make 10 of these. See how much we've got. It's 5, and then once that's there, we can go to the inventory tab again, and we can drag this back into our inventory. So now I've got some steel plates on me. I can actually left click, and I can actually put down the scaffolding of this steel plate. So to complete this and to have a solid block of armor like you see on the small block here, I would need 25 of those. But to get you started, you don't really need to finish it. You can simply put down like this, and you can carry on building the more essential blocks, which I will now get onto. And all the most essential blocks in this survival are actually already on your toolbar. We can see on tab 4, we've got the light armor block. And 5, we have the basic assembler. 6, we have the refinery. 7, the wind turbine. 8, the solar panel. And 9, the landing gear. And I've just pressed G here to open up the block screen. And here we can actually see the blocks, all the blocks that we have available to build right now. I'm going to check something, that's fine. Okay, so there are many, many, many more blocks in Space Engineers, but as a way to not overwhelm players with all the blocks that you can build with, there is actually a progression system here. And we can, from this tree, we can actually see by building this, we'll unlock more blocks. And these are all the blocks we can build right now. So, you know, for example, we can build the light armor block and we'll have access to the rounded blocks and the, just the rounded blocks, it seems. Building the interior wall will give us access to all the interior blocks, ladders and windows and stuff like that. And one point to note is if you don't want to play with the progression system, you can actually disable it in the world settings. And I talk about that a bit more in some of the other videos. But I think if you're playing Space Engineers for the first time, definitely recommend playing through the progression system because you will learn the most essential blocks and the blocks will be available to you one by one and you'll actually kind of get to grips with the one that you have already, right? So what we want to do now is actually get a power source set up. So one thing, the best way here on an Earth-like planet is actually the wind turbine. So let's see here. I think for the sake of time, I'm going to fast forward a little bit here and skip some parts, but all I'll be doing will be mining stone and refining that stone and actually then making components from that stone. So we'll kind of come back a little bit and I'll come back and show you when I have some more resources what you'll be doing. Okay, so we're back and I've been busy mining lots and lots of stone. You can see that the pit here has opened up quite a bit and I've been stockpiling resources ready to actually continue building this base up here. Now there's a number of ways you can approach survival in Space Engineers, especially when you're with friends. You can always think of ways to mine rock quicker, to collect the rock quicker. You can grind down this pod, for example, to get resources and then transfer them to the large grid. A common thing to do is to actually take the survival kit here and transfer it to the large grid here. So if I open up the G screen and put the survival kit onto my toolbar, we can actually put this down here and we can build it here instead. So if I wanted to do that, I'd probably have to grind this down first. You can see the actual requirements are identical pretty much. So we could actually do that, but I won't do it in this. I'll carry on working at the back of the pod for now. And first off, get power onto this grid. So let's go over to the back. You'll see that I have lots and lots of resources now, and I'm going to produce what I need. So let's make a wind turbine. So a wind turbine, we're going to need 40 interior plates, 2 computers, 24 girders, 20 construction components, and 8 motors. So let's do that then. So we need 40. So I'm pressing Control while clicking here to make set to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 40 of those queued up. Okay, so there was 8 motors as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 24 girders. 2 computers. And 20 construction components. Ooh, there we go, that will do. So now we're just going to leave these to assemble here. So hopefully we have enough resources. I hope so. We've got lots and lots of iron and nickel and silicon. So hopefully that'll be fine. Now, while that's building away there, there's one thing that's happened while I've been building and flying around. And that is the fact I've run out of hydrogen. And my energy is also kind of at half now. It's 45%. So to restore your hydrogen and your energy and your health for that matter, and oxygen, if you come to the survival kit and you'll see this little screen here and it will highlight, if you then hold F, you'll see those values in the bottom left refilling there. And there we go, back to 100%. And this is actually not just some magic, this is actually using resources here. we've got a oxygen generator or hydrogen generator, both actually in one. And you can see we have ice, which is actually being used to produce hydrogen and oxygen. So I will actually also take out of this, we've got a hot oxygen bottle and a hydrogen bottle here. So this will keep me flying longer and keep me breathing longer as well. But in fact, because we're on the planet, we don't actually need to have the oxygen supply. So I'll actually open my helmet up by pressing J, and the oxygen isn't such a big deal here. It's more of a deal on the moon or in space, but still important to know, I think. Okay, so actually coming back to building the wind turbine, the height of the wind turbine will affect its output. So rather than just slapping the wind turbine down on the base like this, I'm going to build it up a little bit using the armor block scaffolding. So I think this is coming along now. Yes, fantastic. So all of our components are ready, so we'll just take them all out here. I'm using shift click to transfer them all here as well. Let's see. I also want to make a couple more steel plates here. Let's just make... Alright, that should be enough. Steel plates are going to be for rising it up. So I've got full jetpack. So I'm going to hit X, hover up. And now we're going to build, let's say... Yeah, we'll make it like 5 high there. And then once that's done, we can come to there and slap the wind turbine right on top. Of course, it's in a build state mode. And unlike the armor block, we will need to complete the wind turbine for it to be functional. So let's actually come over to it. We have our resources that we prepared, and there we go. All the resources we need, so we can see it being constructed there, step by step, and there we have it. Straight away, we have a working wind turbine. So we now have power on this grid. But of course, we now actually need something for it to power. And the first order of business will be getting the next tier of production. And that is the basic assembler and basic refinery. Because the survival kit really, both on large and small grid, is really for the essential purposes. And it's actually, it's also good because it acts as a respawn point. So for example here, let me just, I haven't got any resources, have I? I've got some. So let me just put this back here for safekeeping. Oh, maybe not this. Oh, that's okay. So I will now have an accident, as you may have in survival. Let's just see. Should probably be it. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's pretty bad. So once you've respawned, you'll see I respawn back at my respawn pod. And actually, the default respawn mechanics work is that you will respawn at the nearest pod. So if you're at your friend's base and you die, you'll respawn at their pod. I'm just going to quickly go to my body and actually collect my spare bottles, because they will come in handy for sure. Okay. But already you're kind of seeing how the base is building up and how we are starting in the new survival. It's a lot more about mining when you start, whereas older survival and Space Engineers was about grinding down the large ship that you started with. So it's a lot harder, I would say, than before. It's you've got a lot less resources to start with. But personally, I like that feeling. I like that feeling of being dropped onto a planet and kind of having the bare essentials to survive and then building up from there, right? So going back to the tiered blocks, we want to build this. So for the basic assembler, which is the kind of second tier of the production, we need 80 steel plates, 80 computers, 40 construction components, and okay, right, I think I remember those. Let's see here, if I can remember correctly. So, back to the assembly, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, 80 of those, 40 of these. I forgot the motors. Was it 10 motors and 4 displays? Okay. I am wondering if we'll have enough stone for this. I mean, enough resources, because... Let's see. We'll just let that produce away there. And I'll show what happens once you built this basic assembler. You'll basically unlock a whole new set of blocks and components to make those blocks with. If you just go back to the G screen as well while we're waiting, and look, oh, already you can see we've unlocked more blocks since the start. So because we've been placing some blocks here, we actually see that we have more access now. We have the mechanical blocks, we have the oxygen farm, the O2 generator, beacon has also appeared here. So already we're filling out this this block screen. You can see it, the kind of ones lighting up. Right. Yeah, so either solar panels or wind turbine allow you to get all of these blocks. How's it doing then? Aha, yes. As I thought, we're out of resources. We need a lot more stone. I think we're out of iron. So I'm going to go back and mine some more iron, and then more stone, and I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, so another thing to remember is actually that this is how survival will look on a dedicated server. And I still think if you're playing Space Engineers for the first time, definitely play that learning to survive scenario, because that will go through even more steps that I haven't shown you today. This was, I think, ideally more for returning players. Now, there's one other thing, that's if you happen to run into enemies, I mean, there might be some more unfriendly players. If you go back to our seat here, and then press K to open the inventory. Oh, sorry, we will see that stored in the passenger seat, we have an automatic rifle and 3 magazines. So these are limited, of course, and you can't produce more of this until I think we've got the basic assembler. So let's just take these out. I don't expect any enemies today because we're playing solo on our own world, but it's worth pointing out that if you do have some troublesome people, then you have got some form of deterrent right there from the start. So let's have a look. Let's see. We've got... okay, we're getting there now. We've got our steel plates. How are we looking at production? Okay, fantastic. So we might have enough now to get this basic assembler set up. Let's just wait a bit longer. Well, the thing is, while you're waiting for it to build, of course, I'm going to go ahead and get some more stone because there is time to kill. So there's always something you can be doing while you're waiting for another process to complete. Okay then, so we must be nearly done now on that production. Let's have a look. Yeah, oh yeah, just 6 more to go. And then we'll be good to build this. It's also worth pointing out that you don't need to have every single component for a block to be functional, just to make it its strongest integrity, right? So I'm going to take all of the stuff now we've just made and come over to this grid, which is already powered, and we're going to put down the basic assembler. Now, one thing to note is on the side of the assembler we have an access hatch. So I want to think ahead because, of course, in Space Engineers there's a conveyor system, so things can be linked together rather than transferring them manually. So we want to think about where this is going to be so we can attach it to the basic refinery, which is going to be the next thing we want to build. So let's see, we can put it down here and then rotate it. So yeah, let's put it like that. That should work okay. And now we'll have everything we need to build it. There we go. So that's the basic assembler built and powered. So that's to kind of reach the next step of the survival here. So if we go to the production tab, you can see we have a lot more, nearly double, over double the amount of components now, which will allow us, of course, to make new blocks. And we can also produce better tools. We can produce oxygen bottles and hydrogen bottles, and also the rifle. So what I will do next is immediately we can start taking the ingots and put them in there to actually make the higher end components. But actually I want to now transfer the survival kit from the small grid onto the large grid, because you'll see why in just a second actually. So I'm going to take everything out here first, clear it out, and then we're going to grind this down. Okay. Now my inventory's full and it's actually dropped a medical component there because I can't fit it in. But that's not a problem because we're just going to quickly place this down and then I'm going back. The reason I'm doing this is because the survival kit in the large grid has 2 access slots on either side, and it's perfect for putting in the middle between a refinery, a basic refinery and a basic assembler. So let's put down the components there. That's fantastic. Okay. Now, it looks like I made a slight mistake, and the large grid survival kit actually needs more steel plates than the small one. And right now, I have no way to produce anything, just because I blocked stuff off. So rather than get rid of this and just kind of faff around, I'm going to come over here and just grind down more of this, because of course there's plenty of steel plates on all the armor here, and we don't need this anymore because we're kind of working away from this initial pod here. Now some people also choose to convert these pods into rovers or ships themselves, but again, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to just grind down all of it eventually. Let's see how many components we got now. That's 17, yeah, nearly enough. Okay. There you go. So you can see I'm missing actually 11 steel plates to fully complete it, but it will become functional anyway. And it will stop at like 97%. There you go. But it's totally fine as it is. So that's the survival kit onto our new grid now. And now if we die, we'll respawn at this survival kit on the large grid rather than that pod. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is getting the basic refinery, and then that will be kind of the second tier of production completed. And for that, we need steel plates. Actually, not too much, actually. We might have enough. If I come back here, and I will actually move all of this. I'll show this as well. And I'll drag these ingots into the basic assembler because it's going to be quicker and it's going to be able to build more things. So I'm going to forget the survival kit for production now. Although for now, I can still use the survival kit for refining stone. That is still useful. Okay. Let's see them. Production. Now we want to change from survival kit to the basic assembler, and we can see the things we need. So I think we needed at least 100 steel plates for this refinery. And you can see just how much quicker it is. Look at that. It's a lot quicker than the survival kit at making these components. So it's, as soon as you can, you want to get away from the survival kit and get that basic assembler up. And of course, there's one final tier here, which is the, I'm not going to do it on today's tutorial because I think you'll be able to do it yourselves, but that is the next assembler, which is the standard assembler, which will kind of produce the more higher end, end-gamey blocks. You can see the jump drive at the very end there. So that's that. And there's, yeah, the assembler and also the full-blown refinery as well, which can again produce quicker and also allow you to be more efficient as well. So I've been mining some more stone now and been putting it into the survival kit here and using that to refine it. And you'll actually see that it's being directly pulled from the survival kit into the basic assembler because again it's connected via that port. So it's a really key thing here to automate the process is to have your production blocks linked up. So you're not manually taking out of this and putting into that. So let's see here. We're producing plenty of stuff now. That's good. Okay. Let's go to the assembler. All right. We still need more iron though. So yeah, we need plenty more stone. So I'm going to go back and mine some more stone. So yeah, you'll find yourselves in the beginning of the game, you'll be very busy mining stone, either alone or with friends. So it's one of the things will be to figure out if you can actually find a way to make stone collecting quicker, right? I've seen some people who make kind of collection chutes where they build into a hillside and have the bits of ore roll down the hill so that they can be collected at one point. Right, we'll get out of our hole again and go back. Also just throw this in here. There we go. Still need lots of iron, it seems. And again, I am still here. I've been mining, but of course I could be continuing to grind down this and taking components from this, because we can see we've got even items that we didn't have with the survival kit. So now that, oh no, I didn't want to do that actually. Maybe not that one yet, because we haven't got a H2 generator made yet. So I'll probably leave that for now. All the steel plates can definitely go though. It's giving us some easy resources. Right, so let's check this production. I believe we have, yes, 100 steel plates already. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to take those steel plates out, place down our basic refinery with that access hatch connected to the survival kit. Of course, we can choose which way. There's two access hatches, so we can either go that way or that way. I'm going to go that way, I think. And we can get that filled up. So we're going to need, yeah, not so many more. We got 20 construction components and some motors and some computers. Fantastic. Okay. So we've got the final component just made there for this refinery. I'm going to take all of this out. No, not the iron. Wrong part. And that should be good to go now. There we go. Again, missing 10 steel plates. We don't need the steel plates to complete it. Especially if we're just trying to save resources as much as possible right now. And there we go. You can see by building the basic refinery, we have again unlocked more blocks. And we've completed the second tier of production now. So we can actually put not just stone, but we can also put iron ore or gold ore, whatever, or silicon ore. And of course, by putting actual ore as opposed to just stone, we can get a lot more resources from that. So the basic refinery allows you to refine more than just stone. And I think for now that will conclude the tutorial, because I believe from there you can continue to progress and unlock more blocks. You can see we've already got the hydrogen engine, batteries, medical rooms, cryo chambers. We've got some lights as well. And by building this second tier, we've already got a lot of blocks now to have fun creating, building contraptions, building spaceships. And I think I've actually gone through all the essential things you need to get started in Space Engineers. Please do try out the Learning to Survive scenario if you haven't already. And actually, you'll unlock a skin by completing that scenario. And when you're ready and want a bit more of a challenge, then the Never Surrender scenario can also bring an interesting element, having to survive against those waves of drones. So thank you all for your time. I hope this helped, and I'll see you all next time.